Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to join us and your fellow Lepada members in what promises to be a practical and user-friendly, or I'm told it will be, and I have seen a little bit, so I feel reassured on how to sell online more successfully from our technology partners, Renati's dream team, and they are very familiar faces to many of you. So interior designer Kelli Ellis and antiques dealer Mark Hill. They'll share some of their tips on selling successfully online from the perspective of a dealer who sells frequently online and an interior designer who does the buying. So from both sides, you'll get some practical tips, and they're going to look at interior design trends, effective ways to photograph and list your items, and just some fail-safe ways to get your stock out there and noticed. As well as this, I think they'll look at sort of helping you take the plunge on how to sort of sell on multiple platforms, and also showcase one of the useful online resources that you might like to take advantage of. So for those of you who don't know, Kelli Ellis is a hugely successful American interior designer with shows on HGTV, TLC and Bravo. She's designed interiors to integrate antiques into residential and hospitality venues with a sustainability bent as well for over 25 years, but who's counting? And she's also Vice President of Global Industry Relations at Renati. And Mark Hill, who has already taken his time out several times for the Lepada members, both online and in person at the conference, joins us. He sells antiques and vintage online for sort of over 20 years. And before that, in a former life, we knew each other in the auction world. And in 2001, he really sort of helped revolutionize getting the antiques industry online by pioneering live online bidding. And many of you will be very familiar with his face on the BBC Antiques Roadshow. And Mark currently is Managing Director of the UK and EU at Renati as well. So he's wearing many hats, but I think really today he's looking at it from sort of helping you from selling online. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so please put any questions into the chat function as we go along, and that's it from me until the end. So thank you, welcome, and thank you, and enjoy the ride.
What a warm welcome.
Thank you. Yes, what a welcome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, Freya. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here with the Lepada members. It is a great honor, and we're very, very excited. I don't need to speak for Mark, of course, but I think we have people who really want to understand what we're seeing and what some of the top tips for selling online is right now, Mark. So what do you think we just get straight into it?
I think we jump straight into it. And a lot of what we're going to talk about today, not only has sort of come from our professional experience, but it's what we believe ourselves as well. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of the techniques and often very simple, sort of almost statements of the obvious that have really worked for me. It's not rocket science. And once you get going, you really do rock it off.
It's true. And I will give you the designer perspective. So I will chime in every so often to let you know what your buyers, AKA designers and consumers, are looking for right now. So with that, we will start rolling. Go ahead, Mark.
So I think thank you. I think the first thing is what? What does one sell online? Well, there are plenty of different things, and obviously the entire gamut of whatever you sell is perfectly suitable for online, with a few notable exceptions, which I'm going to come to. So we all do fairs, we buy there, we probably sell there too. Fairs are an essential part of our business. I always, at risk of sort of being arrested, follow people, stop and listen, eavesdrop, find out what people are talking about and what's in the bags. I mean, here we have art and antiques for everyone, typically busy. You know, what are people buying? That always gives me a very, very good steer. Like many of you, I'm quite sure stock is quite diverse. So what's the current trend? And Kelly's going to talk a little bit about that. And one thing I have do, WWRD, it says there. What does that mean? It's what would Ronnie do? And I learned this from my very good friend and Antiques Roadshow co-colleague, Ronnie Archer-Morgan. And Ronnie will often do a fair at the beginning to see what dealers have brought out and put out, because that's a sort of indicator of what might sell. You don't want to take stuff to a fair that isn't likely to sell. And then he'll do the same fair at the end and see what's different, what's sold, what's been brought out. And that will give you a very strong idea of what's going on in the market right now. So it's not necessarily just about decorative antiques. It could be about a whole gamut of stuff. But Kelly's going to talk to you now about her design trends.
So along with the what, like what is happening right now? What should you be selling? And we hear this a lot, so we thought it would be important to address. And obviously you don't want to get arrested looking through people's bags, but you might kind of want to know what's happening in the backstory, because as you know, things change. And if you've been a dealer for quite some time, you will notice that what people are grabbing up and what's in demand does change. And obviously we have a new spotlight on antiques, and it is time to take advantage of that. Something really interesting last month in the New Yorker, which, you know, is a huge publication, 6 million readership, 17 million followers. They ran just a small poem, but I think this is a big step. And the poem was called Brown Furniture. What? Now, for most of you, we're like, the question from dealers we heard over and over is, brown furniture really coming back? Well, so much so that we're writing poems about it and we're putting it in major publications in the United States. So yay, this is a good thing. And it was a beautiful poem. And the very last line of that poem was, who will love the old if not the old? Well, we have the answer. We do know who that is. And right now, that is the younger buyer wanting quality furniture for good prices. And so the reason for that is what we've seen the lockdown, as we know, for the last 2.5, almost 3 years, has really focused our attention on our interiors. Like the US interior designers are thrilled, and us interior designers are thrilled, and worldwide interior designers are thrilled, because we have been so focused on our homes because we had to be. And then we also see many people were moving from city dwellings, smaller dwellings, because they were so focused on maybe their surroundings for once, instead of just leaving your small apartment and running off to your jobs. Now we're looking for more space. So we had a lot of people moving from inside cities to urban and suburban places, more country dwellings. Well, that means bigger spaces generally. And so now they're looking for more furniture, new things to put into place, right? And then also the younger buyer is very concerned about the environment, which is a beautiful thing. They're looking for sustainable, eco-friendly purchases. You know, that last line when it was, if who will love the old, if not the old, I kind of say, like, who will take care of the earth, if not for the young? Because we have got this true focus on sustainability, which, as Freya mentioned, I've had a chance to design a hotel chain called Soul Community and Planet. And we've been focused for the last 5 years on sustainability and what that means. And now it means more than ever, because we do need to, as we realize with the global pandemic, we've become very global in our awareness. And part of that is sustainability, which is a good thing for us in the antiques trade. And then of course, we've had insane supply chain issues. So we can't get those new goods. Darn it. Those new goods are not arriving on time. So who knew something so terrible for the new good industry would be so amazing for our industry? And then of course, everyone who is a younger buyer is super comfortable buying online. So we've got this quote unquote perfect storm, and it is time for this industry to be highlighted. So really quickly, let me go into some of these trends, because you can see some of the beautiful pictures in front of you. So it's not any wonder that 2022, with our in our third consecutive year, really, we are focused on making us feel at ease at home. That is the number one thing. We want to be happy in our homes. And as a design psychology coach and educator, I cannot scream yay more or loudly enough. The overall surveys for top international designers all say that clients are asking for warmth, they're asking for comfort, and they're asking for airiness, right? Because we have had so much time in our homes. So what does that mean? We are seeing shades of brown. That poem about brown furniture, it means something. We are seeing warm shades of brown, the cognacs, we're seeing caramels, we're seeing the natural shades found in nature, and you can see them here. Yes, brown furniture is coming back. I'm so happy to say. And what does that mean to you? So having and showcasing smaller brown pieces, accent pieces, chairs that feature some of the warmer walnut tones, they will move for you. It's coming back. We also see nature itself. So surfaces and objects like terracotta, stoneware, marble, things that are raw and porous, imperfect in nature. I know I'm screaming every antique dealer's praises right now. They're like, yay, huzzah, imperfect is what we do. We want that because it tells a story, and we love that natural thing. The more electronics we have in our homes, the more that we seek to add natural and nature-inspired elements to our homes, right? Because we want that balance. So what does that mean to you? Look for statement and accent pieces that have some of those natural elements involved and also intertwined. So you'll see, if you can see the grain, if you can see the raw nature, if you can see a raw edge, if you have the marble, if you have patina, yes, please. We are looking for those things as designers. What we're also looking is for sculptural and curved furniture. So you see this beautiful picture in the middle. It is an obvious classic piece, but we want to feel safe. We're looking almost for a hug from our surroundings. And if you can purchase something that has straight lines versus something that has curved lines, right now, what we are seeing selling and moving are things that are soft, overstuffed, soft. They look soft at the touch. They look like you can crawl into them and curl up and get comfortable. That is what we want. And then of course, we've got vintage and sustainable accents as a huge, huge highlight. They have the power to influence and storytell and add direction to every design. And good interior designers know that. But what's happening is that the more interior designers put these things online, the more the consumer and the buyer see what's being sold, see what's in, see what's hot, see what they're looking for, what they're craving. Because we know here what we're craving, the feeling. But sometimes as a consumer, they don't know what that is tangibly, what to type in to look for. So, and you look to your designers then to put those things online and say, this is the feeling that we're trying to impart. These warm, soft linens that you see, these comfy, overstuffed, casual, upholstered goods that you see, the soft curved lines that you see, super, super important because that's what people are looking for. They're like, yes, that's what I'm trying to get. Yes, that's the feeling that I want. But what we also see coming back, which is super, super fun, is something that we call the grand millennial. The grand millennial is the best term ever. And it basically is that millennial meeting your grandmother, right? And so it's the more is more design style. And so that last picture where you see the collections of the plates, and Mark and I have some great discussions about these things and some of our expert picks, right? When we're finding things. You're seeing so many patterns. You're seeing so much influence. You're seeing vintage all in one room, but the beauty of it put together with a unifying color. Remember, Mark, when I was talking about unifying colors that can pull together any look? This is what I'm talking about. So that grand millennial is that design style that more is more, and we're looking for the unique. What we found as a unifying theme for all design is that unique, one-of-a-kind storytelling is so wanted and desired by that end buyer. So you as a dealer, you're going to look for those collections that you can display. You're going to look for those materials that are porous. You're going to look for the natural things. You're going to look for the artwork that tells a story. You're going to look for the things that you know the designers want. So the best bet is start perusing through your Instagram, start perusing through your Pinterest, start looking for what designers are posting, and then we'll give you huge clues as to what it is that you're going to start selling.
Well, I'm sold. That's exactly what I want in my home. So I've chosen two images here, which really, they're both busy. There's both lots of stuff going on, and lots of stuff is probably the key word here. So it's sort of collector's matter. Now, on the left-hand side, we have a wonderful transfer printed Victorian dinner set. And that is the sort of thing that our grand millennial buyers are buying, but perhaps less suitable for online, or it's a good example of what's not so suitable for selling online. Why? All I can say is, can you imagine packing that up? And once you have packed up every single piece and shipped it out, how much is it going to cost to ship all of that? against the actual price of what we're looking at. We know these dinner services are just beginning to return to fashion, but we're not talking a high enough value for it to actually deliver for you as a dealer or for me as a dealer. And then if this huge box containing all these myriad of pieces arrives and one piece is broken, what's going to happen next? They'll probably want to send it back, and we have to go through all over the process again. But collectors do matter. On the right-hand side, we've got a fantastic antique shop, which is up in York, in the York Antiques Museum. And for me, this is all about the sorts of things that aren't decorative antiques. I think some of us imagine that everything has to be decorative. It has to be all of those things that Kelli explained just now so marvelously and in such detail, which is great. But actually, you can come across things that are collector's items. And here, the key word is keyword. So collectors will be looking for very specific things. So the more keywords you can bung into your title and your description, but particularly your title, the better it's going to be. So advertising signs we've got there, name the company the advertising sign was produced for, and just load it up with keywords, because ultimately keywords are how collectors and other buyers find your pieces. Where to sell? Of course, this is the next decision, and it's something I had to go through myself. So what we're showing here is our brand new free online guide, which is for trade fairs and shows, because of course, trade fairs and shows very much will always be part of our business and part of who we do, and running in tandem with online sides of it. But you'll have already received as well a guide to online marketplaces. And what that will show you is profiles of the many marketplaces out there, because certain buyers will only really go to certain marketplaces that they feel comfortable, or that they feel sort of represents them and what they want and what they're looking for. So I suppose we could say, you know, for example, Pomono, Vinteria, very well known for selling 21st and 20th century design items, perhaps less sort of well known for traditional Georgian furniture. I mean, there's an argument you could put it up there, but somebody as a buyer is more likely to go to Pomono and Vinteria because that's what they're looking for. So what that guide, which you've already received, will show you is a good profile of which marketplaces to choose. Choose one or two and then build from there. Sometimes you might get a surprise. Of course, Lepardo we adore, and you know, is ultimately something that serves all sorts of different buyers.
So what we've also talked about is photography. I mean, Mark, we know that, and you as a dealer know especially how important photography is. And as a designer on the other end, looking and sourcing and maybe leaving things to a little last minute, maybe I'm sourcing products at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to confess to that, but it does happen. And sometimes you need to start looking and start searching and finding things. And what this really means, beauty reigns, is that there's a lot of competition now. And I think a lot of dealers know that, right, with their photography. And it's so important to be able to put things online that really grab your attention right away. And I grabbed this image from Imagine Interiors because they have done such an incredible job on their Instagram. This happens to be an Instagram image. And a lot of us are so used to picking up our phones and scrolling through and seeing certain images. And we know that you have such a small window to really capture our attention. So we know that images that have a white background, hugely important. But if you can get my attention with some eye-popping backgrounds or something that's got a beautiful focus, you notice this is not just that image that has a white background, but it's giving me more so that I stop. And then of course, the follow-up images would be those with a white background, or the follow-up images would be those giving me different angles of the same piece. But we can't really spend enough time talking about how important it is that you get that first impression and that you really make it in a strong, strong way. And here's another point that I will make that is not technical, but it is coming from the interior designer perspective. Please, please, please tell me what you're selling. So as much as I love Doe and Hope, and if you follow Doe and Hope on Instagram, they are fantastic. This is a little unfair, but they do have a lot of images. So what I would see first would be this to capture my attention. And then maybe the next image would be the specific item that they're selling. And they're showing me some context, not only scale so that I can see the size of the objects, but I'm also getting an idea of what it is they're selling, and they're giving me a feeling, which is so, so important, right? But I highly, highly recommend that you focus on one piece, and then in the later images, you give me something similar to this, some context later, right? Because again, my attention is very, very, very split up, right? I've got so many things to look at. I'm spread very thin as far as things coming at me. So I really do need you to capture my attention. And I say do that with one item so that I know exactly what it is you're selling. And then to get more specific.
Of course, the critical part, as you mentioned, Kelly, photography. I mean, a picture really does speak 1,000 words. I mean, I started off going to a professional photographic shop and spending several £100s on photographic equipment. That was probably about 10 years ago now, I suppose. Quite frankly, after that sort of got worn out or I wanted to update it, I just went to Amazon. And I think I spent less than £200 on everything I needed. I've got a backdrop. I've got the backdrop holder that you can slide the big paper part down. I've got studio lights that, okay, they might not be professional photographic quality, but you know what? They do the job perfectly. And I've also got a white cube, which is brilliant, of course, for putting small objects in. And quite frankly, that is all you really need. Go shopping on Amazon. And I know on the Renati website, we have blogs that point out certain bits of equipment that you can buy on Amazon very, very affordably. And your phone, quite frankly, your phone will just do it. So on the left there, we've got a photograph of a Czech glass sculpture that was exhibited at the Brussels Expo in 1958. And that's how I photograph it. And as you can see there, I've got my phone holder mounted on my tripod. iPhones, Android phones, they're all so, so good these days. When I started, as Freya very kindly mentioned, back in 2001, trying to persuade auction houses to actually photograph more lots, to put them online in order for them to be live bid on, you needed all manner of different things, a digital SLR, you needed to put it over to take memory card out and put it over to your computer and then load it up from there. Now we can just switch it between the two, and phones really do the job these days. And I think my just do it point there is exactly where we should go. Just get started, get on Amazon, buy these pieces. If you don't want to do that, take it outside on a dullish day where the light is nice and flat and even, and just get going. Because the other thing is, if you just get going, you'll also learn how to improve by actually doing it. Protect your posterior. What earth am I talking about? It did say cover your ass, by the way. Pretty much the same thing. It did, but they changed it. So this I just love. I'm talking about images from Stag and Squire. So here we have this plate warmer, which is tollware, and it's seen life. It's a Regency piece. And of course, it's seen a couple of 100 years of life. But note how many images that they've put here. That is fantastically useful, not for all the reasons that Kelly has just explained, but quite simply because a buyer will see the piece in all its angles, see how damaged it is. And what that's basically doing is saying, well, you did see it, because if the buyer takes it back and says, okay, I got it, but it's more damaged than I thought, I want to send it back to you, they can't really complain because they've seen every single little bit of damage there. So that's why it says protect your posterior. The more images that you put up, the better, because it gives a buyer a much, much better idea of the condition of the piece.
And as a designer and also sourcing this piece from my client, I have all of the answers, hopefully everything, all the questions answered here, because I don't get what does it look like in the back? What does it look like underneath? Well, can we change it and make it a bar? Can we make this something we can use in another room? I actually have all the information I need right here with this many photos. So again, I know it's probably the pain point in fact, it's the pain point for a lot of dealers, that the photography is a big issue, but we can't hit it home enough that the more images, the better, because I can get the idea of colors. You don't have the designers or buyers coming back to you saying, hi, yeah, what is is there this, is that color this? Can I make it work with this? I've actually been guilty of asking dealers to send me a Pantone color to go. I know, exactly, because the photography wasn't good enough, because I couldn't tell from the photography if that was a dark blue or a black. could you please, because I'm truly trying to make it work within a design. And I would love to buy it from you. I would love to buy this piece from you. But if I don't have all the information, like a lot of pictures, then I actually can't make that sell for you. So I'm on your side, I promise, I promise. All right. Oh, this is great, Mark. What is this?
This is the embarrassing book. When I started buying as a sort of slightly geeky teenager instead of a slightly geeky 40-something like I am now, the one thing I found really uncomfortable was when a dealer would have sort of the book and you'd say, can you please tell me your best price? I'll just go and have a look, they said. And out came this book. And it was this very uncomfortable situation where they're trying to look at the book. And of course, you know, human curiosity means you're thinking, that's interesting. So book. And I think the question really is, do you keep things in a book? Do you keep things on a spreadsheet? Are you a scribbler or are you a spreadsheet person? What system do you use? And I think one of the biggest challenges I had was using spreadsheets, which I have done up until now or up until a couple of years ago. But my other issue with that was pulling together the images, keeping them in touch with the actual spreadsheet, because obviously the spreadsheet can't store the images. And images can often be very large in size. Certainly if you shoot them even on an iPhone or an Android phone, you'll find they're quite large. So you might want to store them in Dropbox or on a drive that you have to plug in. And everything is very all over the place. Obviously, you can't store everything you have, images and data, on your laptop or your computer. So the Renati e-commerce manager is a single location to organize, post, edit, and manage your stock, all of it across multiple online marketplaces. So this really draws everything together into one zone. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. Would you mind if I steal the screen, Kelly?
Please do.
I
Steal
shall
away.
indeed. Here we go. So after we've set you up with an account, this is what you'll see within the Renati e-commerce manager. So this is a set of stock not owned by me. This is from Modern Antiquarian. And you can see immediately that you've got an overview page with a thumbnail image and then the item description itself. Clicking on any of that will take you into the item description page. So we have images at the top. We have sites and marketplaces that's listed on. And as you can see, every single bit of detail. And what we've done with the e-commerce manager is to pull together the common fields listed between marketplaces and allied them with the fields that you as a dealer might need and brought those to the item description page. So you're filling in all the information you could need that is essential at the same time. So everything from style down to materials and of course dimensions. That dynamically converts between inches and centimeters. And should you so require, there's also shipping information. But of course, as we've explained, we have images as well. So here we have the hero image that you saw first of all. If it needed to be a front-on image, you can just drag that to make that image the first image that appears. And then within this software, you can also crop and resize and also switch images so you can flip them from side to side. So there is everything that you will need, including information about the item itself that you may need relevance. If somebody wants to make you an offer, then you can include the acquisition cost, any restoration costs that's happened, and you can make notes about shipping costs. These are all completely confidential, so these are not seen by buyers. This is your own inventory management system. So coming back to the dashboard, what have we got here? So if I open up the menu on the left, we have a full inventory list. So we have drafts, active, inactive, on hold for when a customer wants to hold something, unlisted, depleted, deleted, and archived. Now, of course, that does mean that you can filter. So by clicking, for example, here and opening up your marketplace list and clicking unlisted, let's try that one, unlisted on Cherish, you might want to see which items that I've got listed on other sites, but not on Cherish. So that then gives you a list of those items that are not listed on Cherish. So filters allow you to be quite clever with your stock. So you don't have to remember which marketplaces you might want to put something on or you haven't yet put it on. We also have locations. Lots of us will perhaps have a cabinet somewhere, or we'll loan stuff to other dealers. We might have a warehouse, we might have a shop, we might have a storage center at home. So you can add any number of locations so that you know where your item is, very much in the same way as a marketplace. But if I return to the item itself, let's have a look at that. So at the moment, this is on in collect, but if I click into the item and we show it here, it's on in collect here. So I can now add it to another marketplace. You need to be signed up to that marketplace in order to do that. So you'd need to visit the marketplace itself to do that. However, all I would need to do is click to add it to First Dibs, click continue. And what this then does is bring up the additional fields that First Dibs requires as a marketplace. So of course, there will be some fields, title, description, price, that are of course essential. So that will automatically draw all of that information in. And there you can see the title, the description, and the fields in pink in this coral color here are the essential fields that First Dibs requires in addition to the normal fields. So of course, each marketplace has different essential fields, and they're all brought up in that way. All you would need to do is fill in those fields. All the other information is pulled in for you, and then you can click publish or save draft to go back again. So we deal with 18 marketplaces now, and you can easily add a new marketplace by clicking under the marketplace menu to add. And in just one moment, you'll see. So if you have already become a member of that marketplace, all you need to do is click on connect and enter your details. Now, I must point out, these are totally secure. We cannot see them and nobody else will see them. And that will enable us to upload your stock to that marketplace. If you're not a member, click on the sign up button. It'll take you straight to that marketplace's page. Moving back, I'm delighted to say we've just released a new piece of technology, which I think Kelly is particularly delighted about, and will explain the reason why. So if I click through into our 20th century gilded sunburst mirror, I think as dealers, we've all had that issue when somebody calls you, maybe an interior designer, and says, hello, could you send me details about that? And what do? We go to Dropbox, we plug in our third-party drive, we pull all the images together, we write an email, we cut and paste things out of a spreadsheet or a marketplace. Everything's in different sizes. The images are different formats. So what we have done is to create a presentation. We've built software to allow you to create a presentation. So I'm going to create a presentation for this. So you can have 1 or 2 pages effectively. I will create a 1-page template for this. And because it's an interior designer I'm selling to, so Kelly's asked me if I have any of these mirrors, but she doesn't want my details on there, I'm going to click no to show company information. Otherwise, if you're sending it to a client, you can include your company information. So the little Renati magic R does its thing, and it creates a very sensible and useful presentation for the buyer. So that puts everything into a nice and tidy format. You've got the date, you've got the description, you've got the price, and of course, you've got all of the information that someone might need. We also have added dynamic fields as well. So condition, that wasn't pulled through because it was blank, but I could type excellent here, and then that will be added. I can also add a maker, and I'm going to put my own name here. And then we can add other information such as weight, which one might not have. Click on apply, and that information then appears. So it's a dynamic creator of presentations that you can then email out. And of course, once you've completed all the information you like, you can download it and I can send my mirror to Kelly.
And I would be so delighted. You have no idea, because to your point, our clients want to see these pieces. There's nothing worse than getting that little image or something that was taken on a phone in the back corner with no lighting, or, you know, all of the above. All of the above. Or maybe I saw it. Maybe I was at a fair or out, and we had a conversation, and I wanted to see this piece in more detail, much better than the iPhone shot that I took on a cloudy day, you know, one Sunday afternoon. Like, I really want the information so that I can share it, put it into a beautiful presentation, because most of us are working really hard. We want to be your frontline sales, as designers. And so having this information, being able to have it very succinctly and beautifully, can't wait.
You know, that's a really good point, Kelly. I mean, how many times have we of dealers have had somebody come up to us at a fair or phone us and sort of say, I saw this thing at the fair. I didn't take a photograph of it, but it was this. And you think, oh, I know what it is. Can you send me details? Can you imagine how impressive it would look if you sent them a wonderfully designed presentation with correct images in? So it does allow you to also not just work with interior designers, but to sort of follow up in an incredibly smart manner with other buyers as well.
Exactly. And so that's a feature that we're super excited about. Many more coming, but a beautiful way to organize things. And just a few more tips to help you when you are selling online. Some of the things that Mark and I really thoughtfully went through and thought, okay, as a dealer, as a designer, what is it that we want you to know? And here's one of them: lingo. Mark, please.
Oh, yes, avoid using lingo. It's something that I used to work in the auction business, and auction descriptions are very, very different from descriptions one might sort of want to read on a dealer site or on a marketplace. I think just avoid anything that someone's going to have to look up. Communication is so important. And if someone's reading something and they don't understand it, or they don't understand the format because it's written in a sort of auction catalog manner, they'll just go somewhere else. They'll just look at another dealer's stock to see something, because it's all about communication. We have such a short time to capture people. So really try to avoid using lingo unless it is absolutely essential.
It's such a good point. And this was a big deal as we put a friend in one of our Renati dealers on here as an example, but I can't tell you how important it is to just be able to tell me if something's sold. Be able to tell me if something's no longer available. There's nothing more frustrating when I'm writing or talking to a dealer to say, remember that piece that you sent me the beautiful presentation on last week, or that PDF that you created for me last week? Is it still available? Like, the communication is a massive part, because once we show it to our clients and say they fall in love with it, if it's not marked sold, what then? If it's not updated, what then?
Do you know what, Kelly? I'm going to steal the screen once again from you, because actually the Renati ECM can help with that too. So moving back to this, a wonderful system that we've included here is also to edit status and mark things as sold. So by clicking on the item and editing status, you can deactivate it, put it on hold if a dealer has, or if a buyer has suggested that they might want to buy it but aren't quite sure yet, or you can mark it as sold. So then you mark it as sold on the marketplace, how much it was sold for, and when was sold. You click complete, and then the Renati ECM and our team will mark it across all marketplaces that it's sold. So you don't anymore have that worry of thinking to yourself, oh, hang on a moment, which marketplaces do I have that item on? And then having to log in to each and every single marketplace to actually mark it as sold, and then forget one, and then have someone in 6 months like Kelly call you up and say, hey, I want to buy that. Oh no, it's gone.
I think all of those things are super duper important. And be human. What does that mean, Mark?
I think we've all just got to be very human about things. I mean, I think the informality of the online medium and the way we communicate is fine. I don't think we need to write things like sort of, dear sir, thank you very much for your inquiry. And then full things to yours sincerely. We're not writing letters in copper plate anymore. If it's a buyer in America who gets in touch with you late at night, just write a very quick email back. Hi, it's late at night here. I'm really sorry. I'll get back to you first thing in the morning, but thanks ever so much for your inquiry. Best, Mark. That's absolutely fine. I mean, one tip I had from a very wise chap a little while ago was to introduce WhatsApp onto my website. So I have WhatsApp for Business. And I think that the informality of the way that medium works incredibly well, and it works well with timing. So I've been out at dinner with friends, and I've had somebody WhatsApp me saying, hello, can you give me a shipping price for that? And I just got back to them and told the truth. Hi, I'm sorry, it's 10 o'clock at night here. I'm actually out at dinner with friends, but no problem. I will get back to you first thing tomorrow. So it's about timeliness and being human. You know, we're human. We don't want to look too strict or too formal. That's not the way of the world today. So, do it with a smile, do it quick, and be human.
I love that. I love the WhatsApp tip, because moving from the States to Europe, I didn't realize that everything functioned on WhatsApp, that it was one of those random applications that you kind of never used when you were within the States. But here it is very much a business application that is used from everything from your restaurant to your hair salon, like and the bank, everyone uses WhatsApp. So it is so important. I've really, really valued that quick response, get back to you. Yes, I know you're looking for that. Yes, I put it on hold for you. Yes, I marked it sold for you. Just that little reassurance that means everything. And that relationship, I'm sure many of you know as dealers, the relationships that you have with your designers and your buyers, your regular buyers or collection buyers, is so, so important. So we can't reiterate that enough, that even reaching out to somebody new and making yourself available in that way is so, so important.
So thank you to Renate and to Kelly and to Mark. And to those of you who tuned in today as well, we will share the recording with you with the next kind of members communication that goes out, and then it will be live for you to be able to watch at any time. So if there's things you want to go back on, but also if there's other members, peers that you want to share it with, then they will be able to see it. So if you have any inquiries about Renate and their services, please do get in touch with Tommy DeHoop, who is there with his photo looking very welcoming and ready to take your call with all his details. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the chance, Freya. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming along.
Bye.
Bye-bye.